guys, J.A. Graves, physical therapist, strength coach here to talk to you on another exciting Mobility Monday. Today we're going to talk about an ankle mobility exercise that you can use to help improve mobility that might be limiting your squat or could be contributing to knee, hip, or lower back pain associated with running or any other dynamic activity. Hey guys, thanks for joining in on another exciting Mobility Monday. Today we're going to talk about an ankle mobility exercise that you can use to improve mobility if you've noticed that you have difficulty squatting because of a stiff ankle, or you have knee pain, hip pain, or back pain associated with running, and you believe that it could be because of a stiff ankle. Now, a lot of times people don't realize that they have ankle stiffness until somebody tells them, or it's very obvious. Now, I'll tell this to you, if you've ever had an ankle injury, whether it's a major sprain and you had rehab, or even a mild injury or multiple mild injuries, specifically ankle sprains, you probably have some stiffness in the ankle that you're not aware of, or you're aware of it and you've tried a bunch of different techniques and they haven't worked for you. I have found this particular technique and moving your ankle in this particular direction to be very, very, very effective, okay? So hopefully this is an exercise or technique that you find just as helpful as I've found for myself and my clients. Now, we're gonna use the acumobility ball today for this technique. And I did a video on this particular technique many months ago, but wanted to give you guys more information as to why it's important and who it's important for. Okay. Now, before we get into it, I want to talk about a couple things as it relates to this technique. Now, a lot of the times when we focus on range of motion for the ankle, we do movements in what's known as the sagittal plane. Okay. Now, the sagittal plane refers to movement that occurs forward to back, back to forward, like this. Okay. It's not surprising or it's not uncommon to see people at your gym or for you to be doing movements in that direction in an attempt to make your ankle less stiff. Now, the frontal plane is really an area that's underutilized for mobility that can create huge improvements in your ankle mobility. And this is because the ankle joint itself does not move exclusively front to back. It actually has an axis that's oblique, meaning it moves front to back, side to side, and even has some rotation involved in it as well, okay? So again, the frontal plane is movement that occurs side to side, and that would look like this, okay? Now, with this technique, we're gonna focus exclusively on the frontal plane. Now, before I get started with the technique, I wanna show you guys a way that you can check your own ankle mobility, specifically in the frontal plane, to see if you have a problem, okay, or if you have stiffness. Now, this is best done with your shoes off because your shoes can hide, different mobility limitations that you might have. So, how you're gonna set up to do the assessment, and you're gonna lose my head here in a second, but I'll talk loud, is you're gonna put your foot on a bench or a box, like a plyo box, with your shoe off, and put your hand on top of the top side of your foot, okay? You can take your other hand and reinforce it if you want to. From here, you're just gonna push your knee out to the side and bring it back in. Now, your hand is here to make sure that your foot doesn't lift up, okay? And also to kind of block that ankle joint. So you're just gonna hold here, right across the top of your foot, push out and push back in. Out and back in. Now, you want to get an appreciation for how that feels. If you feel like it's very difficult for you to get your knee out without your foot coming up, you might have an ankle mobility problem in the frontal plane, okay? Another way that you can check the mobility here is by doing the technique that improves the mobility. So it's always good to check side to side. So check your right side, check your left side, and appreciate the differences if there are any, and then you can do this technique from there, okay? So for the technique, we're gonna take our acumobility ball, and we're gonna place it right on the underside of your ankle bone here, okay? So you got your ankle bone on the outside, we're gonna put it right underneath there, and put your leg right on top of that. Now again, you can use this as a assessment, so I can push my foot down and see, okay, does that feel stiff? Does it feel painful? And then compare it to the other side. But this is also how you're gonna do the technique. Okay, so again, you're gonna set the acumobility ball down, place it just underneath your ankle bone. And in some people, it might be a little bit sensitive here if you've had a lot of ankle sprains. And from here, you're gonna take your one hand, so in this case, it's my right hand stabilizing my right lower leg, and you're gonna stabilize and hold it there, while your left hand pushes down on your heel, okay? Almost like you're trying to roll your heel over that rounded acumobility ball surface, okay? Like this. Now, this should not be particularly painful, again, unless you've had a lot of ankle injuries. It should actually feel kind of good. So it's just a push, you can hold for a second or two, and then come back out. Push, roll it over, come back out of it. Repeat this about 15 to 20 times, and then you can recheck your mobility using this right here, okay? The other thing you can also do is try squatting again, or doing some type of exercise or movement that you know typically feels stiff in the ankle, and see if this helps improve it, okay? So get yourself an acumobility ball. They do, in my opinion, work the best for this particular technique. Give this a try, and don't forget to tune in next week on Mobility Monday.